Hello, welcome to the latest edition of Time Studies. We have today two experts who will help tell us whether new programming languages versus old programming languages, what should people study? And the reason we're looking at this is because of Gen AI. Gen AI has been absolutely transformative for coders. Coders Coders of all types have all been saying the same thing. Gen AI has changed their work. So today we have with us Lakhan Kriplani, Senior BU Head of AWS Training at CloudThat. We also have Vinay Konanur, Vice President of Emerging Technology at UNext. Welcome to you both.
Thank you. Thank you.
Excellent. To those watching us online, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and also take part in the poll, the link to which is in the video description. And you can also give your comments and questions in the comment box, and we will take it up at the end of the webinar. So, Lakhan, let me start with you. New versus old programming languages. What's the difference? Is there a difference? Should people maybe make that distinction at all?
Yes, thanks, Akhil, and thanks for providing the opportunity. So there are, since tech industry has evolved over a time, and there are a lot of evolutions we have seen, we have witnessed, and also back in the decades, I would say a few decades ago, when we started with C, C++, all those programming languages, they were all working towards the native, I would say, the hardware level, where the person who develops the teams who write the codes, they are interacting with the hardwares basically, and the codes are structured to that levels. And people needs deep expertise into that. And also a lot of things came into picture where as the tech has evolved, a lot of things needs to be done, and we also have to make sure that the codes are being developed rapidly and in fastest manner. And over the span of a time, many new programming languages were introduced, like which does a lot of our jobs easier. Like initially, it was a procedural languages, right, where functions execute or the line of code executes one after the other, where the reusability was very minimal, and every time you have to write the fresh code, the compilations, and a lot of things comes into picture. The entire application, the more and more applications started becoming the complex, the more level of the complexity, the more lines of codes were introduced, and also the debugging, troubleshooting, packaging, all takes a lot amount of time. And now, since as IT has rapidly enhanced, and also again, we started adding into the procedural language, moves into the object oriented, where the smaller line of code, or let's say instead of writing the entire full-fledged applications in as a new age programming language, the people started writing it in a modularized code, the modular code, so that they can reuse it. One set of functions they developed it, they can reuse it again and again. This way, time to market is reduced drastically. The reusability help us to focus on working or adding more functionalities or more features into the applications itself, rather than again testing, debugging, and the previous component of it as well. So there are a lot of programming languages right nowadays, Python, Java. They have started introducing it, getting popularity. React, JavaScript, Node.js. Those came into existence from 1990s towards now, and they also have support of large open source community. There has a lot of innovations, libraries has been introduced by them, so that makes more user friendly to write a code, more stable, more flexible enough to compile, and even it takes less amount of resource to develop and run into the production environment. So those are the things that was introduced, and that is how the new age trends is getting more and more popularity as compared to the old ones.
Vinay, you want to jump in?
Yeah, so I think I completely echo what Lakhan said. In fact, I'm talking about late 90s, before we had, even before the .com, we had the year 2000, right? The whole digits, YY and YYY, the 4 digits, 2 digits to 4 digits. I still remember. So we were, our whole focus was learning a syntax, like Lakhan said, learning a language, and entire time went in grappling with how you can make it work, error code. Anytime you do, you get a core dump segmentation fault. So who was considered as a genius is who could crack it. So this is a Dada. He can crack this. So it was limited to few people, right? Because that required that level of depth of knowledge. But today, like Lakhan said, it is all democratized, right? It is available to a lot. It's more readable, it's more available, more understandable, more user-friendly. There are frameworks. You don't have to build everything from scratch. There's skeleton code already available. So it has moved from a core concept level to actually looking at tools to solve a business problem, right? So you no longer lead with technology now. You lead with the business problem at hand, right? And that is where you work backwards to see whether your code fits in. And it's not the other way around, where you're learning the code more for the academic reasons of actually understanding and solving a problem through the syntax and the nuances of the language.
Okay. I've heard Python, especially right now, is usually ranked one of the favorite programming languages used. Could you talk a little bit about what are the most popular programming languages right now that people should learn?
So, there are different types of. Sure. So there are different types of programming languages, and also it depends on what we are developing, what platform we wanted to run, and the nature of the applications. Because since earlier we were provided with very limited programming languages, I would say we can count it on our fingertips. Now we have like thousands of programming languages, and also like Python, and there are the programming language, I would say, which evolved over the time, which got the support from the open source communities, like for example Python, Java. There are even the JavaScripts as well. They have they were developed and are focusing on the open source. The community contributed and created the different frameworks on top of it. For example, initially there was earlier days it was JavaScript. Now even JavaScript is a base for React Native, Angular. There are a lot of frameworks came into picture which solves different set of purposes. And even in terms of Python, I would say nowadays Python is the more popular languages for data science, data analytics workload. Right? The reasons being is it has a large set of libraries which are helpful for resolving day-to-day operations. NumPy, Pandas, you name it. If any challenges, let's say if the program has written, it's being complex, someone is contributing to it, making it a library. Again, it does the job easier for others. So the more, if you earlier, it was like if you have to write a logic to we have to write a logic to get our work done. Nowadays, you think it, you just Google it, you will find some of the other libraries which are developed focusing on all the best practices. Again, time, algorithm, which will require less resources. And also they have tested in all the aspects. It would not happen that, okay, basically today I run in my system, but if I go live, it may not run, or it may get some into the errors, and also those things all being taken care. And the libraries are, I would say, easy to use, easy to integrate, plug and play, develop, and make your applications like quick to deploy and quick to market, I would say.
Yeah.
Vinay, you want to jump in? Sorry, I was muted.
Yeah, Akhil. So, yes. So adding to, see what enterprises today look for, Akhil, primarily, if you look at the use cases of most of these applications, of course, Python across it's the de facto. But remember that there are some core languages, right? Java underneath also has C. So the sun will never set on some of these languages. C, C++, what. So today is the day where one has to think of polyglot. That is, you have to go like a juggler, no? You cannot be playing a catching game. You have to juggle across multiple languages because, like I said, you're actually solving a particular problem and it all gets aligned to the business problem that is hand. There's no one size fits all. So Java has its own framework, Spring Boot, which are more aligned to microservices kind of a development, cloud native architecture, supporting concurrency. There is a language called Go, which is used across, a lot of internet scale applications, corporates who use them. Of course, you have Rust, which are more for blockchain, where there is performance security. But if you go all in all, right, ultimately, when you write a language, it just boils down to writing an if or writing a loop. Right? These are the only two things that you don't do anything else, right? Because those are the only two logic that you need. So the rest of it is the problem solving, right? Understanding the constructs, the design. So what happens, Akhil, is there is always a doer and there is a builder, right? Programmer is the doer part, right? Just a program. You given a task, it's more like a labor. You give something and the task is done. But it has to transition to now builder, because now that you have so many tools, you have to say, what is it that you can reuse? What are the frameworks? In what context? I need to understand what is the merits of using one versus the demerits of not using another one, the trade-offs that I have to do. So the approach is shifting from, just learning the language, like I said previously also, to this, right? So that's how, so the enterprises use cases are all, learning these frameworks and tools and to solve a problem. Yeah.
No, Vinay, that's very interesting that you said being a polyglot in programming is important, because tech executives that we talk to have said the same thing, that they really look for people who can write multiple programming languages. Lakhan, maybe your thoughts. How does one learn with multiple? To me, it sounds difficult just to learn one programming. How does how does the new generation now learn multiple? How is that easy, please?
So can you repeat?
It's difficult to learn just one programming language, right?
Yes.
So how do you learn more than one?
Okay. So this is, I would say, there is one of the learning methodology, or I would say the T-shaped approach. So basically here you get into the core of, you identify one of the core programming languages, you get in-depth understanding of it, at how it works and all. And based on that, you see almost all programming paradigm follows the similar structure. I won't say the same thing and all, but still the logics, algorithm are almost remain same. Our end goal is to make sure that the algorithms are efficient and the logic is to the point. And similarly, as the different programming languages are there, like, because there will be a lot of in many, so it differs from syntactically. So let's say back in I would say a person who have worked in C, so they know the pain points of making sure that they add the semicolon. But again, the program structure, logic, everything goes into picture. They have to make sure that the program are efficient and all. On top of it, the next level of programming languages, even some programming language builds on top of it by adding the wrappers towards it. So earlier we used to write 10 lines of code. Now we are just calling one function. Our job is done. So we just have to make sure that we put the proper function line in proper place that does the same job, which we have executed by having the 10 lines of code. But ultimately, the understanding, the logic is important. Also, the more as I mentioned, this will be depends on the syntaxes. Every programming languages will have their own structures, their syntaxes, their efficiency, how they can use it, and the proper, I would just say the structure of the languages. And by adding those pointers, we just have to learn the syntax of it. We can plug and play and making sure that our job is done. Then we can even visualize. Earlier we took, I remember back in around 8 or 10 years back, when I did my one of the programming, when I did my application, when I check that, I have written thousands of lines of code, but after introducing to the new frameworks, I would say, let's say first was JavaScript, as I remember, but jQuery introduced, AngularJS. Even I have used AngularJS in one of the applications where if I have to go through for web application, if I have fetched the data from backend, if I have to print all those things in a tabular format, we have to make sure that we add all those syntax, HTML, table, div, and all these things, the table, TDTR, we have to write this thing. We have to loop in. But when I use the AngularJS, we just have to put it like, okay, the syntax of AngularJS, it will automatically add the entire program. Even I don't have to worry about writing the ifs or conditions or for loop or any of the loops. I just have to plug in, okay, here is the object which has my data. Here is the structure where I have to fit in my data. loops, everything will be taken care by the framework itself.
When
I don't have to worry about conditions and all. It affects my time. It saves my time. Again, I don't have to spend time on troubleshooting it. And the same thing, I can focus my time on developing more and more complex applications. So now even Angular has a lot of frameworks. I have used back in then it was Angular 2.0, but it's been now it's very latest versions. Again, they are more efficient and more powerful as compared to the one when they were launched. So that is how the frameworks comes into picture. And also this, they were built on top of the JavaScript. So those syntax which I have learned, so with a small understanding of the syntax, I will be able to learn more, or even we would be anyone. So this we can easily learn it. So this way we can even whatever the languages comes into pictures, we can learn by identifying the syntax and see how it saves our lot of efforts and how we can plug and play. And it's again go to market.
Vinay, your thoughts, advice
Yes.
to
So
students?
it's like Lakhan said, multiple languages. The comb shaped. You have to be good in all. It's like the multi-cuisine chef, no? Akhil, yeah. You need to be good in all. But then think about it. Look at a sportsman. So most of the times, if you are good in one sport, how long does it take to really get good in an alternate sport? Let's say I'm very good in soccer. It's easy for me to learn cricket, right? Or baseball, because remember the basics of your agility, of your own physique, of your stamina. Those are the foundation, right? So till now, because of the advent of IT services companies, there's a lot of the way technology evolved, the way businesses evolved in India, there was a demand for coders, right? Coders or programmers. But then from programmers, now it's the real time that we need engineers, right? The engineering mindset, correct? So there are programming paradigms. So and does not matter what language it is, right? So I go a step back to understand the design. So understand what is the programming paradigm. Is it structured programming, object-oriented programming? Is it a reactive programming? So there are those basics. So what people have to do is they don't have to get, so lost. They say, right, if you're very close to the trees, you miss the forest, right? So, they have to step back and higher level, understand the design, understand the different programming techniques which are there. There is something called test-driven development, behavior-driven development. There is something called how do you craft, like a carpenter crafts a good piece of art, right? A good piece of work. How do you craft? So, it has to come at that level where I say that using of right design principles, using the right design patterns, and then I have all these tools, right? How do I measure what I have? So I have code quality tools, performance tools. I have IDs on which I get code complete, autocomplete, right? How do I leverage all that? And on top of it, right, the whole engineering principles of DevOps, what is about agile? So the end-to-end flow. So once I learned that, so that is where the gap is. People jump into a language. Ki Python seekh liya, yeah, maine Java seekh liya, right? But it has to be one level before, one level more foundational, so that no matter what comes in tomorrow, your basics are so right. You have the athlete. You're an athlete, right? Any sport you can catch.
Right. No, that's fascinating. You don't have to really worry about any particular old or new programming language. A lot more different things, like you said. Okay. Right now for companies, especially for AI development, data science, what type of programming languages do companies look for? Who wants to take this? Vinay,
for AI, yeah, so there is applied AI. So primarily, so what has happened, Akhil, is, Python, just learning Python won't cut it, because you need to know end to end. So today, when you say data science, it's very one-dimensional in terms of they learn statistics, they learn probably some amount of languages and some libraries, like I was mentioning about it, right? Pandas, but not really the end-to-end. So when you say end-to-end, understanding the model, understanding the stats, understanding the data science related algorithms, which algorithm, and then also understanding how it is deployed, the data engineering part, understanding how do you visualize? So the whole aspect of it, that is what we call as full stack, right? So if you say that, Python, I'm very good at Python, now I should be very good at the whole thing about applied AI, right? You've not completed it yet. It's a combination lock. It's not just one number, So full stack data scientist, full stack technology, where you say it's a Java full stack or a dot, it has to be complete end to end, right? And then again, the lines between just because you're a data scientist or you're a data engineer doesn't mean you should not know technology, because ultimately the data product that you build has to be deployed somewhere. Right. So again, it comes back to the whole thing, the horizontal approach, right? I need to know cloud because there are a lot of data services which are provided by Azure, AWS. So I need to know that. So the whole aspect. So yes, Python becomes definitely the foundational language. Earlier it was R. Python becomes the foundational language, but on top of it, learning all the foundations, right from the stats to machine learning models to actual, deployment and understanding data engineering principles, all that becomes important.
Lakhan, I have a tricky question for you. What's the difference between a full stack developer and a polyglot programmer?
Okay, so full stack developer, as Vinay just mentioned, that you can be either full stack, you can be full stack in data scientist, or you can be full stack developer in React. So I would say, you name it, what kind of applications we are using it and what platform we are using it, by what platform. We use web applications, we use mobile applications. Again, in mobile, it's bifurcated into Android, iOS. Again, we use the backend applications, Again, in backend also, we will have a lot of frameworks. So nowadays, it's, as I mentioned, there are thousands of programming languages. Identifying right applications, right programming languages, it's a key art. And now, as a part of this, so as a part of coming back to point full stack development, so here either you be full stack development, making sure that you are either be in a MERN stack, mean stack. There are different stack levels, right? It again starts from you are aware of the backend of the application, the integration component, the front end component, and making sure that all three components work in sync as to make sure that it delivers the expected outcome at ease. That is full stack development in terms of, I would say, the web applications and all. And as Vinay mentioned, in terms of data science and engineering, right? Again, we have to get into the understanding of, let's say, if I have to process any kind of data, or if I have to visualize the data, I have to see what are the sources of my data. And we need to be understanding those applications as well, which help us to write the ingestion, which will process the data. Again, we should have an understanding of, like, once the data is ingested, we need to make sure that the quality or the data is as per the, we need to refine the data. We need to remove the anomalies, and we need to make sure that the data is good and refined to go to the next step in terms of data processing or in terms of visualization. Again, for data processing, again, that comes into the next set of tools or the programming languages which you will be using it to get the desired result. Let's say, for example, AI models. Okay, AI, or if you wanted to do ML models, there are many algorithms available. You can directly use it. So again, we have to have a knowledge on which model to use. And on top of it, by using it, when we executed it, we got some results. We need to again fine tune that model to get the desired results. Nowadays, ChatGPT, everyone is booming around. Okay, ChatGPT. There are thousands, there are numerous models available, LLM models available. Identifying the right model, fine tuning plays an important role. And reaching to that level, all those core component needs to be aligned. You can't just sit on top of it. Okay, now I wanted to do a visualization. I wanted to have my mobile application in terms of, I mentioned about FSD in mobile application or the web application, or in terms of data processing layers. If I wanted to get into the desired results without having understanding of how the entire data processing flow works, you won't be able to understand or try to get the expected results. Or same way in terms of mobile applications or the web applications, you just say, I want this application, but we need to get an understanding of it. Now, even for newbies, it's like we are mentioning all the three components or the full stack development. There are a lot of things comes into picture. We can't learn overnight. It comes in a practices and all. So you start with, let's say, if you are heading towards the front end or the back end application development, to start with the core. which are the core applications using object-oriented applications are there. As Vinay mentioned, for Java, you are good at Java, you can even get to learn the Java framework, Hibernate, Spring Boots, and all. So you can even build Java-centric FSP full stack development application. Then only you get into the next steps. Same way, even if you're into the data science, you just have to understand each and every aspect of it. That is how even when we become graduate, right? So it's not like we directly started with the college. We started from the junior KGs to first, second, secondary, upper secondary, and then the graduate and then postgraduate. So we learned all those things. So our bases were strong. The same way in terms of programming, even you identify any of it. Say Python, you're identifying, start with the core Python, then start learning the Python frameworks. For example, getting into the data part, you start learning NumPys and all those frameworks which are training. Or if you wanted to develop the web applications using Python, then you start learning there are Python frameworks as well, which will help you to design the web applications. So those things, even going for Java, React, Angular, different programming languages which are trending. So you identify what was the base, and you, wherever in the current environment you are, let's say you are working as a backend developer, then just see how front-end developers take their code into the execution or as the visualization. Or if currently you are a data scientist, you just see how data engineers process your data, how data scientists or the data experts or data analytics visualize your data. So when you start getting to it, it will be easy for you to relate, because then it's a lot of things. IT has, and there are a lot of innovations are being developed in IT. But if you are just sitting at this space and you're just saying, "Kash, maybe wo kar pata," you have to start small. You have to start learning, which is easy for you to catch. Otherwise, it's difficult. You won't be able to process anywhere.
Vinay, your thoughts?
Yeah, so just to add on to this, see, we at UNext, what we have done is, a lot of these skilling programs, they have to be interweaved with, see, skill set is there, Akhil, but mindset is very important. Behind all this, unless you have a problem-solving approach, in fact, we say that today, because you're an engineer, not a programmer, even if you take a small program, which is Hello World, and across, you learn all how to build, how to deploy, put that on cloud, right? Containerize, right? Simple. So which means actually working on problem solving, Now, since it's going more functional and business, problems and being agile and responding to customer requests, what is becoming more and more important is, earlier, if I was a C, I'm talking about 20, 25 years back, right? It is like, main aur mera code. Aksar ye baatein karte hain, right? Ye bas, because you're restricted. But now it is no longer about you and your code. What you'll have to do is the other behavioral aspects, which is, are you communicating? Are you collaborating? Because especially in a virtual kind of an environment, those become a bottleneck, right? So across the spectrum, are you showing that leadership? Because, what cannot be disrupted is the human angle, right? GenAI can disrupt a lot of other stuff. So many competencies where people can showcase negotiation, collaboration, working in teams, sharing information, just about sharing, right? And saying, all for one and one for all, right? So together and solving a need, having that mission, having that zing, that is becoming the need of the hour today, because others, technically, there are frameworks and automation which can be figured out, right? Yeah. But what cannot be figured out is the human element. So across the site, right, be it at a fresh level, you need, for a fresher, you need communication skills. For a middle level, they need a different set of influencing skills. We say influencing without even having authority, right? Can you do that? Most important is making sure that all are data-led decisions, right? So you have metrics of measurement everywhere. And for everything, you have a story behind, right? So how can you present with a story so that you get a buy-in, right? And then you make the right noise so that you get the attention and you get the necessary support. So all those things become very important for any person who wants to start off this journey, because, that's where, again, it becomes multidimensional.
What about mobile app development? Is that still
which one?
Popular? Mobile app development?
Yes, it is. It is popular. So mobile app development, again, what has happened is today a lot of app developers use Kotlin, right? So again, interoperability with Kotlin and Java is so strong that it has advanced features, but any Java base can easily get transitioned to Kotlin. So you don't see, backend development, of course, requirement you see, because a lot of service companies outsource that kind of work. It's huge in numbers. but application development is definitely there. A lot of startups require for this. India domestic market is booming, right? And there is a lot of dearth of talent. And we at UNext, we provide a lot of solutions for the domestic market, which is your BFSI, your manufacturing, and all this, right? Back end, front end, mobile, the full stack is the need of the hour. And it's very exciting to work in our local market, right? Solving India-based problems and really taking, our own economy and our own growth to the next level. Yeah.
Excellent. We have run out of time very quickly. So thanks a lot, Vinay.
Pleasure.
Very informative conversation. Thank you also to our viewers. Please join us next week. Thank you.